was on Reddit a couple weeks ago on Long John Silver. There was mushrooms growing out of the drive-through fucking
Yes,
window.
that
so
place
gross.
is gross. Long John,
I-
the food's not terrible.
I have a related
No, it's
question.
good.
So this is about tipping, but white privilege has been a thing I hear about a lot. I sit here and try to ask myself, like I try to deny white privilege. I did pay for my own schooling. I worked my own way. Is there white privilege? Have you guys benefited from white privilege? I have to some extent. Like my
Well, by the
father-
way, white privilege is the area, or college is the area where white
Sure,
privilege
I
doesn't
mean,
help you.
All right,
you know?
so just the nature of like what I do sometimes. Like, there's been plenty of times when I've been driving down the highway with lots of guns and money in my car,
guns, yeah.
and I feel like if I were an African American man and I'd been pulled over with a bunch of guns and money, or even worse, an Arabic-looking guy, or even just anybody who's brown, really, like there's a reason I try not to get too tan. I want to be as white as possible. If I like I want to be a little bit
what your
pale.
white privilege really is, in my opinion? Your father's got like 100 acres. Like, if that wasn't the case, it'd be
but he
very
bought
hard.
that-
But is that white privilege? That's
See,
just
but
someone
he
who
bought
worked
that
hard.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't that's like a generational thing. Like 25 years ago, he was like, I'm gonna buy that place, and he like borrowed the money and he paid it off. Like he just. That wasn't like great grandpa's farm or anything, and if great grandpa had been a slave, there would have been no ownership. That was just like, dad had good credit. Dad had, I don't know, $100,000 for a down payment, and he fucking borrowed a couple $1 million and bought a place.
But
that's not so much being white as much as it is having capital and having money. Like
Right.
if you would say it'd be like, I guess, rich or
There's
affluent
nothing stopping a
privilege
black
or
person
something.
from getting that same plot of land.
It
however
could
many
be that
years
I
ago.
don't understand white privilege, but I think that it also is supposed to encompass the, like, you had two parents raising you, you had more money, you had higher
That's not
expectations
white-
in your
That's not
grades.
white privilege. No,
Oh,
that's
well,
just
white
shit,
privilege.
you
maybe
came
I'm
from
messing
a
it up.
broken
I'm
home,
gonna
and
look
you
it up.
didn't come from a broken home.
Look
those
it
are
up.
two different
I'm
things.
curious. I look. I
A lot
believe
of people
there's-
have two parents.
Yeah.
Oh, I think everyone
I think
scientific.
everyone has two parents. Yeah, that's a good bet right there.
Yeah. Yeah, usually it takes two to tango.
The Negroes
That's just-
reproduce asexually, Bobby. Did you know
I
that?
mean, sometimes it feels like that, doesn't it? When
They
you
come
look around
the ground.
at the daycare and there's just 12 moms there and one dad.
It's true. They're just springing out of the ground like urukai. Just pulling the slime off out of the
It
placenta.
seems to me they're just like, there's like placenta under the ground. Like did that? Where did they really come from? Like I don't get it.
never understood
I don't
that
know.
either.
They're supposed to be
If you're gonna
tortured.
make them
Oh,
magically, why do it so gross?
so the
like-
orcs are supposed to be like tortured and twisted elves, which I can kind of understand. But like, where do you get the urukai? Like,
They were
I never,
supposed to be bred between the orcs and the goblins. But
Yeah.
that's like breeding a really small dog and a kind of small dog and getting a pit bull.
I never saw
know?
them doing any like actual like fucking. And
No,
the,
that's in the extended, the special features. There's a little bit of orc
Is it really?
goblin fucking. Yeah. No, there's not.
No,
Oh,
there's
I
not.
looked it up.
Come on.
I looked it up. So let me answer
Frodo
my.
and Sam are masturbating each
Hold
other.
on a second. So, it looks like we're both right. It starts off saying that white privilege is this like societal benefit of we all have a common background, that there are certain like cultural affirmations of your own worth, social status, freedom to move, work, play, and speak freely. That's one definition of white privilege, and the one that you three seem to share. And then other people use it as a proxy for like other privileges, like coming from a good, like a family with two parents, some affluence, etc. So what,
see, that's not fair because I there's tons of white
Plenty
trash
of-
people who don't have
Yeah.
that shit.
exactly,
plenty
and then
of
there's
black
like
people that have both parents there with them the whole time.
Yeah,
and
like-
raise a proper family.
not that the Cosby family is the typical experience, and forget his
Not
whole
anymore.
current problems, but like his father,
You can't
mom
help
was
it
a
because
lawyer.
you have to drugged.
His dad was a doctor. Like,
Yeah.
that can be the black. Heck, I have neighbors that are black, and they provide a very nice childhood for their kids. And anyway, so yeah, it's not a total white black thing, but some people use white privilege as a proxy for the whole like good parents, affluence, etc.
There's a lot
that
of
seems
there's a lot of
disingenuous.
white crack whores that give up their babies and have no fathers and stuff too. There's plenty of the white folk that also don't have a non-broken family. That's the thing right there. They have both.
I try to sit here and think about like how much my privilege, whether you call it white privilege or just affluent privilege or whatever, formed who I am. And
well, let's just do this: make you black in your whole family. Did anything change? Does anything change from what your father did and where you are today? If you were
that's
black?
interesting.
You still had the same two parents and all their personalities and their job and everything they've worked hard towards.
So,
well,
my answer is maybe.
First of all, he never would have been a swimming star.
Yeah, he would have been afraid of the water, but he would have been an NBA guy, I think.
He never would have met Jackie because he'd have never been a lifeguard.
Everything would change.
No, I met Jackie because I was a delinquent, so I still would.
Yeah. No, he probably still would be a lifeguard.
Yeah, definitely so. You'd meet her so much sooner.
Yeah.
No,
you would have pumped out the first kid a couple years beforehand.
I might not have gotten into swimming. That's actually true. Like if culturally everyone was kind of lined up against the idea of me swimming, then maybe I wouldn't have gotten into it. There was another thing I was going to say.
Your
YouTube.
status in society, though.
So hold on, listen
change.
to this. Would it have been much harder for me to get popular on YouTube if I was black?
I really have no idea.
No, because they didn't show you. Didn't. How many years was it until you showed your face anyway?
First video.
Really?
Yeah, it was second video, but yeah, second video.
I don't think so.
That intro doesn't
because you were the older gentleman giving advice and doing tips and tricks.
You could have been like Morgan Freeman, though.
So would people be less inclined to accept advice from a black version of me?
See, it's hard to categorize different people's
I don't know how you
prejudices,
answer that.
I don't think people would.
There's only one way to find
out. There are people out there who definitely
Blackface.
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 Yeah, it might be.
That's the next event.
That's the next blackface drinking
That's
episode.
the next big thing. Blackfaced episode.
We're going to New Orleans.
Here, listen to this.
God.
Dana White was just talking about, he's like, there's this thing amongst humans and in the UFC where when there's a fighter doing really well and he looks like them and he talks like them, that he's really popular in that area. And he's talking about Conor McGregor, an Irish guy. Yeah. And all the Irish people are supporting him huge. And by the way, the Brazilians really support the Brazilians in a super big way. People like to see people who look like them, talk like them, act like them, succeed in their sport. Rolling back to me, if I had been black, would there be a lot of people less inclined to like my videos?
Maybe.
I mean, it's hard to say because there's plenty of successful black people in the Call of Duty scene and the YouTube scene.
They are, but they're funny, right? Like they're
so
not.
You think
me.
there's not a place for a well-educated Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Okay.
He doesn't make COD videos.
And I don't.
Am I? I don't mean to be.
Barack Obama.
Oh, he is. I think.
Well, I don't even know how you answer that. Can anyone give a definitive answer? No.
I think we
I don't think it
really
matters.
went off course with this thing. What was the original question? Do we believe in white privilege?
That was what I was asking. Did white because
to a certain extent, white privilege exists because I mean, just the little thing that, like I said,
profiling is a thing that is white privilege. You're not going to get profiled and randomly pull out a line as opposed to an Arab or a black person, stuff like that. That is white privilege right there.
I mean, like I said, I've been pulled over with weapons and large amounts of money before, and I feel like if I was a black guy, I would have been in trouble. There would have been something said about it.
So this isn't the kind of white privilege that you guys think of, but my father. So I was at Cisco, right? And at Cisco, a lot of my pay was based on bonuses. So on a bad year, I'd make like 115-ish or something. In a good year, I'd make like in the mid 180s. And my father was not proud. He was not impressed. It was like I was some kind of loser, and he'd tell Jackie like, yeah, he really should be working hard and stuff like that. If it wasn't for like that kind of never satisfied, would I have started my own company or something, or like gone on and I don't know.
But what's any of that got to do with your race?
Yeah, that's
some
more
people
just an issue of being complacent.
That's
than
the other.
You being white.
That's the second half of the white privilege thing, where some people make it a proxy for affluence and parenting and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that seems disingenuous because then you're trying to conflate a bunch of tangential things about one's life into one. You're trying to get it all together and be like, no, that's all part of white. That's all white now. Because you're ambitious, Woody, because you worked hard, because you made something yourself. That's all because you were white. So I can see what Kyle's saying in regard to like, yeah, if he was black and he got pulled over with a ton of money and a bunch of guns in his car, he probably would be profiled and it'd be a lot more difficult to, finagle his way out of it. But for you, Woody, like the hardworking thing, if you were black, I think you'd be in the same situation you are now. I don't know about the YouTube reception to you being black, but
yeah,
I think so.
I don't know.
Who knows?
There's also some black advantage. The college thing is the big one.
So I was going to say,
so
it's the
many
one area where
scholarships
white
and
privilege
acceptance.
doesn't, white privilege doesn't, in fact, you're at the bottom of the list for scholarships.
No, I think aren't Asian people
I think
at the
so.
bottom of the list? Like, because
Asian
they
people are at the
excel
bottom
so
because they
much.
excel so hard. Yeah, and then white people, and then if you're like Cherokee, you're at the top, and then integrating from
They
there.
just flip it up.